What's up, boys and girls? This is Spit Logic, and today I want to talk about the reason why I got rid of my MPC One. Now, just to be clear, when I say get rid of my MPC One, I didn't burn it, I didn't throw it in the trash, I didn't tear it to pieces. I sold it to someone who I felt was probably a little bit more deserving of me to have that MPC One. In full disclaimer, as I was preparing to make this video, I had like this full list of different reasons, counting down, 1 to 10, and, just a lot of analysis that I wanted to kind of give as to the reason why I did it. I don't think I'm going to do that for this video. Really, it comes down to a couple of things, which I want to discuss with you right now. Before I discuss that, I want to talk about, the reason why I ended up getting an MPC One after I bought my SP44 Mark II. Literally, when I was trying to get away from using a DAW, I was looking for something that was portable, something that was simple to use, something that I could take on the go. In my head, I was imagining myself being at a park or, taking a flight, traveling, and just pulling out this device in order to make some music. I knew about the MPC series and I was a fan of it. And I also knew a little bit about the SP44 series of devices. And what won out me going from MPC to SP44 is the fact that the Mark II has the ability to store batteries, and you can use those batteries, and it was more portable. It was smaller and it was more portable. That is literally probably the number one reason why I went with that over the MPC One, which didn't have its own power, and then the MPC Live, which even though it has its own battery power, it's a larger, kind of bulkier device. So with all that being said, I could have very well have ended up with an MPC over the SP44 Mark II. If it wasn't for that portability factor, I would be making MPC One videos here on this channel, I believe. And I say that because one of my biggest videos is the MPC One versus the SP44 Mark II. And in that video, I get a lot of comments from people who are SP44 users as well as MPC One users. And a lot of them, if the MPC One, if the MPC was the first device that they use, they have a hard time getting used to using the different workflow and the mechanics of the SP44 Mark II. Additionally, the same can be said for the other side, is that those 404 users, they're so used to that workflow that it makes it difficult for them to acclimate to how the MPC One, how its workflow operates when making music. So really, overall, it boils down to a main thing. I like making music. I enjoy what I do on the SP44 Mark II. I turn that thing on and I play with it every single day. With that being said, after I purchased the MPC One, I was so excited to get to it. I was very excited to start making music with it. And I even made like 3 or 4 beats off of the MPC One. But it became something that I had to force myself to do. I was actually using my ability to play with the SP44 Mark II as a reward for spending time getting more acquainted with the MPC One. And there was a point where I told myself, this isn't working for me. I went about a month without even touching that MPC One after I got it. And it just dawned on me, why am I forcing myself to use something that I don't want to use, that I don't feel comfortable using? So I made that decision. And I think you have to just kind of be understanding or understand where I'm coming from with this. This doesn't have anything to do with the MPC One. I don't hate the MPC One. I don't hate MKII or what they've done or what they're doing. I think the MPC One or the MPC Live, let's just say the MPC series, is a very powerful tool. I've seen some sick beats made with people who use that device. And I would never venture to say that the SP404 is a superior product to the MPC One, or even vice versa. I think it comes down to individual taste. I think it comes down to individual choices. And I made the choice to start off with the SP404 series, and that is the path that I am on right now. With that being said, I can say that one of my biggest problems with the MPC series is something that I alluded to in my MPC One versus the SP404 Mark II video, where I essentially described it as a DAW in the box. And I think that is probably part of the reason that made me not want to deal with the MPC One at this time. When it comes to beat making, my beat making was on DAWs. I started off with Ableton. I went to GarageBand, I used Logic Pro, I've used Machine. I've used a couple of different DAWs. Primarily right now, I'm a Logic Pro fan. I have been for at least a decade now. And I was looking to get away from using a DAW. That touch screen on the MPC One and the way the workflow looked, it felt very DAW-like. And as someone who's trying to get away from DAWs, that's probably one of the biggest things that repelled me from using the MPC One. Even right now, using Logic Pro, using that DAW, I primarily use that to process the audio that I export from the beats I make on my SP404 Mark II. I do not make any music in any DAW, and I have not since I started using the SP404 Mark II. And I think it's just a matter of, the progression of an artist, the progression of an individual. Right now, I am looking to add gear to my current situation. I want to add different gear, add more kinetic instruments to what I do on the SP404 Mark II. And I'm just not looking to learn another DAW. I'm not looking to learn another computer program. So that's where I'm at in my journey right now. I fully believe that I'm gonna have to revisit, using computers, using DAWs more when it comes to, some of the elaborate ideas that I have in my mind. It would certainly be a good idea for me to revisit the MPC at a later date. Right now, I'm just not there yet. I'm not ready for it. And it would be a waste of time and energy for me to force myself to become an MPC user. With that being said, I would be curious to know what your thoughts are. How do you feel about this kind of news? I know there are primarily SP404 users on this channel, but I would be curious to know about those of you who have found that balance to use the MPC as well as the 404, or even the MPC, the 404, and some sort of DAW, who has just kind of a full suite of different tools when it comes to beat making. For me, I think that's where I want to end up. That's where I am striving for, where I want to be at some point. But right now, at this stage in my life, at this stage of my creative development, I am sticking to kinetic. I am learning and acquainting myself with kinetic instruments, kinetic beat making, and I don't plan on forcing myself to venture into new things. It has to be a little bit more natural. I'd also add that, since I bought my Mark II and started making videos primarily about beat making with the Mark II, my head has also kind of shifted to thinking about the things that I do and how that can translate to videos that I make. I think it's a vicious cycle, because I don't want to be a person that makes content just for the sake of making content. I want everything that I make to be something that I feel like making, that I feel like expressing, And if I'm being honest, I felt a little bit of pressure to use the MPC, to purchase it so that I could start making videos about the MPC to kind of expand my audience, as well as, expand the type of content that I was going to be able to make. And I think that's another thing that kind of turned me away from using the MPC One. It didn't felt like a genuine or an honest thing that I wanted to do at the time. Again, I plan on doing that at some point in the future, but now is just not the time, and it's not something I'm going to force. So that's really going to do it for this video. I'd be curious to know, between my MPC One users who probably watch some of these videos, as well as my SP404 users, which one did you use first? Which one do you prefer to use the most? And then what are those pros and cons of it? And what do you think of my perspective? Do any of you feel the same way? Have you tried one or the other and just found out it wasn't for you? Or maybe discovered something brand new and then discovered this is something you actually want to do? Again, I do thank you for the listen. I thank you for the view. And until next time, peace.